I used to think my job was stable. I had been a training coordinator for almost 4 years, and I took pride in every session I ran. My workspace was simple but clean, and my calendar was always full. People joked that if they needed answers, they asked Mirae. I liked that. It made me feel useful. But everything changed the day our new team lead arrived. From the start, something about his style made the office tense. He walked around like the whole floor belonged to him and made small comments about efficiency and alignment even when no one asked. I tried to stay out of the way. My job wasn't fancy, but it mattered. I kept records, prepared coaching plans, and made sure employees got the support they needed. That mattered more than big talk. At least that's what I told myself. Then one Thursday morning, he called me into a meeting room. There was no greeting. No smile. Just a folder on the table with a red tab. I sat down, already feeling a knot in my stomach. He pushed the folder toward me, leaned back, and said, "We need to talk about your performance." My hands went cold. I had never been warned before. Not once. Something didn't feel right, even before I opened the folder. The folder was thin, almost too thin to be real. Inside, there were only 3 pages, all printed with the same clean font our HR team used for warnings and development plans. But the words on the first page made no sense. It said I missed deadlines, ignored requests, and struggled to understand basic tasks. I stared at the paper like it was written in another language. None of it was true. None of it had even been mentioned to me before. My team lead cleared his throat like he was bored. "Sign it at the bottom," he said. "HR wants it done by today." He spoke like it was a small thing, like the papers didn't have the power to ruin my whole job. My heart beat hard in my chest. I opened my mouth, but my voice came out thin. I've never failed a deadline. These coaching notes aren't mine. I never got these. He smiled the way someone does when they know they trapped you. "Well," he said, tapping the folder, "this is what was reported. It's already noted in the system." I felt heat rise in my face. System? Notes? I kept every coaching call logged, my own logs, not fake ones. Something clicked in my head. The audio recordings. The time-stamped backups. Records he didn't know existed. I closed the folder and looked him straight in the eyes. I wasn't signing anything. He didn't like that. His smile slipped, and something sharp replaced it. "Mirae, I'm trying to help you," he said, using that false sweet tone people use when they want to scare you politely. "If you refuse, HR may see it as not cooperating. You don't want trouble." Trouble. I tasted the word in my mouth like metal. I had worked too hard, stayed late too many nights, and cleaned up too many mistakes that weren't mine to be accused like this. But arguing with him in that tiny meeting room wouldn't save me. I needed evidence, clean, simple, impossible to deny evidence. So I forced myself to breathe and nodded like I was thinking it over. Really, I was replaying my coaching sessions in my mind. The ones where he told me everything was perfect and exactly the level of quality we need. The same coaching sessions I recorded because he once snapped at me for taking notes too slowly. I had saved the audios on a private drive, complete with timestamps. He stood up and opened the door like the meeting was over. "Bring the signed form to me before the end of the day," he said. "Or HR will take it from here." I walked out without speaking. If he thought scaring me would make me sign a lie, he was about to learn who he was dealing with. The rest of the office seemed normal, printers humming, keyboards clicking, people chatting near the coffee machine. But I felt like the world tilted sideways. I sat at my desk slowly, like I needed the chair to hold me steady. My hands shook a little as I logged into my computer. I opened my training files, pretending to work, while my mind spun. Why fake a performance plan? Why target me? I wasn't loud, I wasn't rude, and I didn't cause problems. I did my job exactly the way the old manager wanted. Maybe that was it. Maybe I knew too much about how things were supposed to work. A coworker walked by and asked if I was okay. I smiled weakly and said I was fine. I didn't want to involve anyone yet. Not until I understood the whole picture. When my team lead passed my desk 10 minutes later, he didn't look at me. He didn't need to. His silence felt like a threat, like he already planned the next step. That only made me more determined. I reached under my desk and turned on my private drive, the one I used to store my recordings. The little blue light blinked. I clicked the folder labeled coaching sessions. There they were, every session, every date, every word he said. And then I began to build my case. I didn't listen to the audios right away. I knew what he said in them, and hearing his cheerful praise would only make me angrier. Instead, I opened my notepad and started building a timeline. When did the so-called problems begin? According to the fake plan, 3 months ago. But my recordings from those months showed the opposite. He told me I was doing great, even thanked me for saving the team during busy weeks. I checked the timestamps. Everything lined up. My hands felt steadier as I wrote. Then I remembered something important. During our last coaching call, he told me to handle a series of training surveys in a new way. He said he'd back me up if anything went wrong. I had recorded that too. And guess what was listed as one of my failures in the fake plan? The survey method, his method. That was the moment I realized this wasn't an accident. He wanted a reason to remove me. A clean reason. A documented reason. Something HR wouldn't question. But HR would question one thing: contradictions backed with proof. I copied 3 audio files to a new folder and labeled it HR submission. My chest felt tight, but in a good way. Like courage was replacing fear, little by little. If he wanted a fight, I would show him I didn't break easily. At lunch, I couldn't eat. I took my sandwich out of the fridge and sat at the far end of the break room, but every bite felt like cardboard. My stomach twisted each time I thought about that folder. A fake performance plan. Fake notes. Fake coaching feedback. It was so bold that it almost didn't feel real. A few coworkers chatted nearby about weekend plans. Their laughter felt far away, like I was behind a glass wall. I kept thinking, why me? I didn't have drama with anyone. I didn't argue. I didn't break rules. But maybe that made me an easy target, quiet enough to push out without a fight. When my team lead walked in, I felt my shoulders tense. He didn't say a word to me. He grabbed a drink, glanced at me once like checking if I was folding yet, then left. That look lit a spark inside me. He thought he already won. I opened my phone and searched HR audio evidence policy. Most companies didn't allow hidden recordings, but our team lead himself approved automatic recording for coaching sessions months ago, saying it improved clarity and alignment. I still had the email. That meant my audios weren't just allowed, they were official. That changed everything. After lunch, I went straight to the back stairwell. It was the only place in the building where no one ever came. The walls were plain gray, and the air smelled like dust and old paint, but it was quiet. I needed quiet to think. I pulled up the recordings and chose one from 6 weeks earlier. When it played, his voice filled my headphones, cheerful and smooth, praising every detail of my work. Perfect execution, Mirae, he had said. You're keeping this team alive. Hearing him say that felt strange now, like listening to an actor pretend to like me. Then I opened the fake performance plan and compared it line by line. Missed deadlines? The audio said I met all deadlines early. Poor communication? He told me I was the most consistent communicator on the floor. Low quality output? He said the opposite. Every fake claim had a time-stamped contradiction. Then I played a recording from the week before he gave me the fake plan. At the end of the session, he said something that made my breath stop. "Don't worry about the survey mess. I'll handle any questions. Just follow my lead." And now that exact project was listed as my main failure. This wasn't poor management. This was a setup. I sat on the cold stairwell step, letting the truth sink in. He didn't just want me gone, he wanted me blamed. Why? I didn't know yet. Maybe he wanted someone else in my role. Maybe he needed a scapegoat for the survey issue. Maybe he simply liked control. But the why didn't matter as much as what I had to do next. I opened the HR portal on my phone and checked the policy on disputes. It said employees could request a formal review if they had objective evidence that a performance plan contained errors. Evidence could include emails, messages, recordings, or documented inconsistencies. I had all of that, clean, clear, undeniable. Before leaving the stairwell, I created a new folder titled Formal Review Packet. I added the fake plan, my logs, the coaching recordings, and the original email where he approved automatic recording. I also typed a short timeline, noting each contradiction. It was only a draft, but it already looked solid. When I stood, the knot in my stomach loosened a little. I wasn't powerless. I had truth, and truth had weight. But I also knew something. Once I submitted this, the office wouldn't stay quiet. HR would dig, and he would feel cornered. And cornered people get unpredictable. When I returned to the office floor, the afternoon felt heavier. My team lead was at his desk, typing fast, jaw tight, like something was bothering him. A small part of me wondered if he sensed what I was doing. But he didn't look up when I walked by, and I kept my face calm. At my desk, I opened my laptop and organized everything one more time. Facts first. Timestamps second. Audio samples last. I wanted HR to see the truth in the simplest way possible. I knew they received dozens of complaints each month, but this wasn't a complaint. This was proof. As I worked, a coworker named Alma stopped by. She whispered, "He seems off today. Did something happen?" I forced a tiny smile and said I was just tired. I didn't want to tell her yet. The fewer people involved, the safer I felt. At 3:14 p.m., my team lead sent me a message, reminder, signed form due today. Bring it before 5. My hand clenched around my mouse. He wasn't even pretending to be helpful now. He wanted the signature fast, before I could think too hard. But I had already thought. And I wasn't signing anything. I took a deep breath and clicked Start HR Review Request. There was no going back now. The HR request form wasn't long, but every word mattered. I kept the tone calm and simple, grade school clear, just stating facts. I explained that I received a performance plan containing claims that didn't match coaching feedback or actual work records. Then I attached my timeline and uploaded the audio files. I almost expected the system to crash under the weight of my fear, but it didn't. It let me submit everything without any warning. When I clicked send, a confirmation popped up, HR will review your documentation within 3 business days. My heart thumped hard in my chest. 3 days felt like a lifetime. But it also meant I didn't need to deal with my team lead alone anymore. At 4:10 p.m., HR sent me an email asking me to come to a private meeting the next morning. That was fast, faster than I expected. Maybe they saw the evidence. Maybe they understood the urgency. When I packed my bag to leave, my team lead stopped by my desk. "The signed form?" he said. I met his eyes with a calm I didn't feel. HR will handle it. His face didn't move, but something cold flashed behind his eyes. I walked out before he could say a word. I barely slept that night. I kept replaying the day in my head, his cold voice, the fake plan, the threat hidden under polite words. At one point, I sat up in bed and wondered if I had made a mistake by going to HR. But then I remembered the recordings. The truth. The clear contradictions. No, I wasn't wrong. I was standing up for myself. In the morning, I dressed carefully, choosing a plain sweater and black pants. Nothing flashy, nothing emotional. Just neutral. I wanted to walk into HR looking steady, even if my heart felt like it was jumping around inside my chest. I arrived 10 minutes early and sat outside the conference room. The hallway was quiet, and the walls were lined with company posters about integrity. The word felt almost funny now. At 9 a.m. sharp, an HR representative named Mara opened the door. "Come in, Mirae," she said softly. Her voice didn't sound angry or suspicious. If anything, she sounded concerned. Inside, she had my submission printed and placed neatly on the table. A laptop sat open, and I recognized one of the audio files queued on the screen. She didn't waste time. "We listened to the first recording," she said. "We need to talk about what's happening on your team." For the first time in days, I felt a small spark of hope. Mara asked me to walk her through the whole situation, starting from the morning before the fake plan appeared. I told her everything, how I had never received any warnings, how every coaching session had been positive, how the survey project was done exactly the way my team lead instructed. She took notes the entire time, and her pen moved faster each time I quoted something he said in the recordings. Then she pressed play on the first audio file. His voice filled the room again, warm and encouraging. It made me feel strange, almost dizzy, hearing him praise me so easily while knowing he later tried to destroy me. When the recording ended, Mara looked at the paper copy of the performance plan. "These don't match," she said simply. She pulled up another audio file. Again, his words contradicted everything inside the plan. "This is serious," she said. "Very serious. We'll need time to review everything." She explained that HR had rules about false documentation, retaliation, and leadership misconduct. She didn't say he was guilty, but she didn't try to defend him either. That alone told me almost everything. Before I left, she looked at me and said, "Do not sign anything he gives you. Until we finish, we will handle communication." Her calm confidence made the fear inside me loosen its grip. I returned to my desk feeling lighter, but still nervous. My team lead was there, pacing near the copy machine with a stapler in his hand like he was waiting for someone. When he saw me, he stopped moving. His eyes narrowed. "We didn't finish our task yesterday," he said quietly. "I still need the signed form." I remembered Mara's words and kept my voice steady. "HR is reviewing everything." For a second, something sharp flickered across his face, panic, maybe. Or anger. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "We don't need to involve other departments, Mirae. It doesn't look good. Just sign it so we can move forward." I didn't move. "I'm following HR's instructions." His jaw tightened, and he turned away like he was holding in something he wanted to say. I watched him walk back toward his office, shoulders stiff. For the next 2 hours, he didn't come out. Emails from him stopped. Messages stopped. I wondered if he was planning something or if HR had already reached out to him. Then, around noon, he sent a group message pretending everything was normal. Reminder, team sync at 2 p.m. As if nothing was happening. As if I wasn't pushing back. But something in the air felt wrong, like the calm before a storm. At 2 p.m., I entered the team sync meeting feeling uneasy. Everyone sat around the long table, chatting casually. My team lead arrived last, holding his tablet close like he didn't want anyone to see what was on it. He started the meeting with fake cheer. "Hope everyone's having a productive day." I watched him closely. His eyes were too bright. His smile too tight. He stood straighter than usual, like he was trying to appear powerful. He barely looked at me, but I could feel him thinking about me with every word he said. He moved through updates quickly, then paused. Before we finish, he said, tapping his tablet, I want to address some recent performance concerns in the department. His tone slid into something heavier, something aimed toward me. My stomach twisted. Then, suddenly, the meeting room door opened. Mara from HR stepped inside with a second HR representative. Conversation stopped. The room went silent. Mara nodded politely. We need to speak with your team lead privately, she said. His face dropped. The tight smile vanished. He looked from her to me, then back again, like he couldn't decide what expression to wear. The second HR rep added, Now, please. He followed them out slowly, every step stiff. The room stayed quiet long after the door closed. The rest of the team whispered among themselves, confused. No one knew what was going on, and I wasn't about to explain. I stayed quiet, staring at the table while my mind raced. HR didn't pull someone out of a live meeting unless something serious had happened. Maybe they confronted him about the recordings. Maybe they had found even more problems in his paperwork. Maybe he tried to lie, and they caught the inconsistency. After 10 long minutes, Mara returned without him. She looked calm but firm. The meeting is over, she said to all of us. Please continue your normal work schedule. HR will follow up individually if needed. People exchanged nervous glances. Our team lead never came back to finish the meeting. He never returned to his desk. His chair stayed empty, the tablet untouched. I tried to work, but my heart wouldn't settle. Every email notification made me jump. At 3:32 p.m., HR sent a message, please meet with us again tomorrow morning. My chest tightened. Another meeting? That meant things weren't done. Maybe they found something bigger. Maybe he had tried to cover his tracks. Or maybe HR needed to verify more details with me. Either way, I wasn't backing down. I saved all my files in 3 separate locations, just in case. Tomorrow would decide everything. I walked into the building early the next morning. The sky was still gray, and the office lights felt too bright. My nerves buzzed under my skin, but I forced myself to breathe slowly as I headed toward HR. I didn't know what they wanted now, but I hoped it meant progress. Mara opened the door the moment I reached the hallway. She gave me a small, gentle nod. Come in, Mirae. Inside, the second HR representative sat with a notebook open. They both looked serious, but not angry. Not at me. Mara folded her hands on the table. We interviewed your team lead yesterday, she said. There were several irregularities in his explanation. I could tell that was HR language for he didn't tell the truth. Then she clicked her laptop and turned the screen toward me. We reviewed the rest of your recordings. We also compared them to documents he submitted. My heart pounded as she continued. There are major differences between what he told you during coaching and what he wrote in the performance plan. She slid a paper toward me. We need to ask a few more questions about the survey project. So I told them everything, every instruction he gave, every change he made, every time he said he'd take responsibility. By the time I finished, both HR reps were writing quickly. Something big was shifting. Mara thanked me and said HR would continue its review. You did the right thing by coming to us, she said. Please try to have a normal workday. A normal workday. I almost laughed. Nothing about this felt normal. When I returned to my desk, the office felt strangely quiet. People were working, but there was a tension in the air, like everyone sensed something was happening. My team lead's chair was still empty, and no one seemed to know where he was. A few coworkers whispered near the printer, throwing confused looks toward his office. Around mid-morning, the floor manager came by to check in on the team. That almost never happened. He tried to act casual, but his eyes kept drifting toward the closed office door, as if expecting someone to come out of it. No one did. Then just after noon, an email popped up from HR addressed to the entire team. All one-on-one coaching sessions are temporarily paused until further notice. Please direct questions to HR. Coaching sessions paused? That meant HR was pulling his authority. They were taking control. At 1:10 p.m., another email came, this time only to me. Please do not speak directly with your team lead regarding this matter. We will handle all communication. My hands tightened around my mouse. Whatever was coming next, it wasn't small. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept racing. What if HR found even more lies? What if my team lead tried to blame someone else? What if he tried to delete evidence? I checked my folders again and again, even though everything was already backed up. At 2:37 p.m., something unexpected happened. A security guard walked toward my team lead's office. He wasn't running, but he moved with purpose. He knocked once, opened the door, and stepped inside. A moment later, he came back out holding a visitor's badge and a company laptop. The office went silent. People stared. Nobody spoke. The guard carried the laptop toward the elevator, and our floor manager followed him with a pale face. They both disappeared down the hall. My heart thudded so hard I felt it in my throat. That wasn't normal. That meant something had escalated. 15 minutes later, HR sent another message. Your team lead will be out of office for an extended period. Further updates will follow. Extended period. Everyone knew what that meant, even if no one said it out loud. Suddenly, messages began appearing in team chat, small, nervous, confused. People wanted answers, but no one had them. Except me. And I wasn't ready to speak. Not yet. By the end of the day, the whole floor felt like it was holding its breath. People packed their bags quietly, avoiding eye contact with one another. I waited until most employees left before shutting down my computer. As I headed toward the elevator, Mara appeared again. Do you have a moment? She asked. We stepped into an empty meeting room. She closed the door gently before turning toward me with a steady expression. We completed the preliminary investigation. My heartbeat quickened. Your recordings were very clear, she continued. Your logs were detailed. The contradictions between what he told you and what he documented were serious. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. We also discovered additional issues in his paperwork unrelated to your case. I blinked. Additional issues? Mara nodded. Enough that the company needed to take immediate action. She didn't say the words out loud, but I understood he wasn't coming back. We appreciate your professionalism through this process, she added. We may need one more meeting tomorrow, just to finalize everything. I thanked her quietly and walked out. My legs felt heavy and light at the same time, like I was walking on air and sinking through the floor all at once. When I reached the elevator, I finally breathed out. The truth was winning. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of warm tea, staring at the small folder of audio files on my laptop. Each one represented a moment I doubted myself, believed his kind voice, trusted his fake support. And each one also saved me. I never thought I'd need them, but now I was grateful I kept them. I replayed small pieces, not the whole recordings, just enough to remind myself that I hadn't imagined anything. His tone had always sounded calm and friendly. I wondered how many other people had been fooled by it. How many had trusted him the way I had. I shut my laptop and rested my hands on the table. Tomorrow would bring the final answer. HR said one more meeting, and I knew it wouldn't be a simple one. My case grew into something bigger than just a fake performance plan. HR found more problems, enough to pull him from the building. I wasn't sure what I'd feel when everything ended. Relief? Anger? Sadness? Maybe all three. But I knew one thing for sure, I didn't regret standing up for myself. I didn't regret fighting the lie he tried to trap me with. For the first time all week, I slept without waking up in fear. Tomorrow, I would learn the full truth. The next morning, I walked into HR with steady steps. The nervous shake in my hands was gone. I felt tired but stronger, like someone who had walked through fire and wasn't afraid of smoke anymore. Mara greeted me at the door with a small nod. Inside the room, a senior HR manager was waiting. I had seen him around before but never spoken to him. "Good morning, Mirae," he said. His voice was calm. "Please sit." I sat down, and Mara placed a folder in front of me. It wasn't thin like the fake performance plan. It was thick, filled with printed notes, screenshots, and reports. The senior manager folded his hands. "We want to walk through the final findings with you." He explained everything clearly. HR compared my recordings to the documents my team lead submitted. None of his claims matched what he told me. He said I ignored deadlines, but the logs proved I finished early. He said I was careless, but his own audio praises said the opposite. He said I caused the survey issue, but the recordings showed he directed every step. Then the manager said something that made me feel the room tilt slightly. "We also found older cases where his documentation didn't match the coaching records of other employees." I stared at the table. This went deeper than me. The senior manager continued, speaking slowly so every word landed. "Your evidence helped us confirm a pattern." I wasn't sure if I felt proud or sick. A pattern. How long had he been doing this? How many people had walked away thinking they failed when it wasn't true? Mara slid another sheet toward me. "We're closing your performance plan. Permanently. It will not appear anywhere in your record." Relief washed over me so hard I had to take a breath before I could speak. But before I could thank them, she continued. "We are also updating your file to reflect your professionalism and accuracy in documenting your work." I nodded, feeling the tightness in my chest loosen. Then the senior manager leaned back and said, "There's something else. We want to be transparent." He explained that my team lead had been removed from his position entirely. HR found major issues in multiple areas, not just mine. Some of his past coaching forms didn't match system logs. Some comments he made to other employees contradicted company policy. HR forwarded everything to the corporate compliance team. "He will not be returning," the manager said. I sat in silence, letting the words settle. The storm was over. Not just for me, maybe for others too. When the meeting ended, Mara walked me out into the hallway. The building felt different somehow, like the pressure that had hung over everything for days had finally broken. She paused before I left. "You showed a lot of courage, Mirae," she said. "Not everyone would have stood up like this." I thanked her quietly, unsure what else to say. Courage wasn't what it felt like. It felt like survival. It felt like being pushed into a corner until I had no choice but to push back. When I returned to my desk, a few coworkers looked up. They didn't ask questions, but their eyes held something soft, understanding, maybe. Respect. Alma walked by and whispered, "Are you okay?" I nodded. Better now. The floor manager stopped at our row later and announced that coaching sessions would resume next week with a temporary supervisor. He kept the explanation short, but people exchanged looks. Everyone knew something big had happened even if no one said the words out loud. I opened my inbox and saw a message from HR, "Thank you for your cooperation. Please reach out if you need anything." For the first time all week, I felt like the ground under me was solid again. I wasn't afraid anymore. By late afternoon, the tension on the floor faded. People talked more freely, and the silence that followed every email alert was gone. Work finally felt normal again. I finished my tasks and organized my files, deleting old drafts I no longer needed. But I didn't delete the recordings. Not out of anger, just caution. They were proof of what happened, and I wasn't ready to let them go. As I packed up my things, Alma approached me again. "We're grabbing dinner after work," she said softly. "You should come." I almost said no, out of habit, but then I realized I didn't feel small or scared anymore. I felt like myself. "Maybe another time," I said with a smile. "But thank you." On my way out, I passed the empty office where he used to sit. His desk was clear now. His nameplate was gone. The space looked strangely peaceful, like a storm had passed and the air could breathe again. I stepped into the elevator and watched the doors close slowly. For days, I felt like the company was shrinking around me, pressing in like a cage. But now the elevator felt big, open, almost bright. When I stepped outside, the air was cool, and for once, I wasn't rushing home to escape. I was walking out with my head high. That night, I sat by my window with a soft blanket wrapped around me and let the whole week replay in my mind. The fear. The shock. The lies. And then the truth, loud, clear, impossible to ignore. I thought about how easily things could have gone differently if I hadn't saved the recordings, if I had believed the fake plan, if I had signed out of fear. But I didn't. I stood up. And that changed everything. I opened my laptop one more time and created a new folder, Final Documentation. Inside, I placed the timeline, the emails, and the confirmation from HR clearing my record. Not because I expected more trouble, but because I promised myself something: I would never let anyone make me doubt my own work again. I saved the folder and closed the laptop gently. The city lights glowed outside my window. Cars hummed in the distance. Life kept moving, but tonight, I felt still in the best way. Calm, grounded, steady. I wasn't just Mirae from training anymore. I was Mirae who didn't back down. Mirae who proved the truth. Mirae who learned her voice had power. Before going to bed, I whispered to myself. I didn't break. I never did. And for the first time all week, I believed it completely.